So my name is Stephanie, and I came to Blue Ridge Women's Center back in 2010. I was 18, so when I found out I was pregnant, I thought I would drop out of college and change my entire life. When I first came here, I guess my initial reactions were I didn't really know what to expect. I was 18, so I was still pretty much a kid. I remember sitting in the waiting room and being super nervous, but I remember thinking that it didn't look like a doctor's office. It was like a house, and I was sitting in someone's living room, and there was no judgment, no shame, no how old are you? None of that. It was just, okay, we're here to do this, and yes, you're pregnant. And they delivered a lot of facts, which is what we were here for. There was uncertainty when I found out I was pregnant, but I guess my faith, how I was raised, there was no other option. This is what you've done, and this is what you need to do. And it's just, your actions just have natural consequences, and consequences can be good or bad or neutral, and this was just my consequence. This is what you do, and it just changes your life. Of course, my parents were upset when they first found out, but ultimately, they were like, we're here, you can stay with us, because I was living on campus in college. And then when I left, they were like, you can come home and you can stay with us and we'll help. And my mom was a huge help, my mom and my grandma. So knowing that I had that support system, it really helped me decide, yeah, I can't do it, but we can do it. It was more of a family thing. So I went through college when I was pregnant. I took my final exams while I was having Braxton Hicks contractions, had to walk out. And then I had Tracy in the spring, and I went back in the fall, and I went for a whole nother semester while I had her. I was determined to keep going. But I was in nursing school, and so the next semester was clinicals, and you had to do 12-hour clinicals with no pay. That was part of your school, and I was also working. And I remember sitting down with my counselor at college, and she was like, I basically told her I just couldn't do it. And she was like, you need to understand how important your education is. And she wasn't being rude, she was doing her job. And I was like, you have to understand how important raising a kid is. And so since Tracy was born, the Lord has taken me in a completely different direction. So I went back to school 6 years later, and I graduated when I was 28 with a bachelor in psychology. I went on my first mission trip and completely changed my life. And then the next year, that organization asked me to come on staff with them. They called me. I was working 2 part-time jobs and going to school full-time. And so they called me one night while I was at a bookstore working, and the administrator, he said, hey, are you busy? And I was like, well, I'm working right now, but I have a few minutes. And he was like, well, I was just wondering what your 5-year plan is. And I was like, what kind of question is that? I'm just trying to make it through the end of my shift. And he said, we'd really like for you to come on staff at Global Partners. And I really blew him off. I was like, we had a mission trip planned in 3 weeks. And he was going and I was going, and I was like, can we just talk about it when later when we get back or something? And he was like, okay, well, just saying, the Lord really brought your name to my mind. And because I was like, that's not what I want to do. I wanted to be a counselor. I wanted to be a psychiatrist and help people and, just go a completely different path. And so we went on that trip, and I didn't know it until after the fact, but the president of the organization went on that trip. Well, he went to watch me and to see how I served and if I really was who, they thought I was, and to see me, work and love people and see my passion. Basically, he wanted to see it firsthand. And then when we came back, they asked me again, and they kind of wouldn't stop. But I told them, I was like, I was a single mom at that point, and I was like, I'm a single mom, I already have 2 part-time jobs, and I'm still in school, and I don't know what the schedule is going to be like, and I don't know how many trips I can go on, but the Lord just worked it out, and they worked with my schedule, and they're like, no, it's fine, we're a family organization, your kid comes first before your work, which I'd never had before, because everything else was a clock in, clock out. If you can't find a babysitter, tough. So yeah, since then, I've been working with Global Partners for 4 years maybe. And the Lord just used them to show me a passion that I had for missions and sharing the gospel and teaching and just not having borders, literally, traveling the world and just doing gospel work and kingdom work. And Tracy has been super supportive. She has not gone with me yet, but she wants to. But she's got to volunteer and do like the behind the scenes work with me, a lot of the fundraising part of it. Actually yesterday, she's been working to fundraise for a water well in Uganda, which is $2,600. And yesterday she hit her goal. Well, she did a lot of work. She like made soap and sold all kinds of stuff and wrote letters to people. Her original goal was $500. That's all she wanted. And then the Lord just like blew it out of the water. So that's really cool. She gets to see what it looks like when you're obedient and how God really comes through and He's faithful. So long-term goal is to take her to Uganda so she can see that well and be like, this is what you did. Like, this is what the Lord did through you, really, you know. So yeah, the Lord has like completely changed my life since Tracy, and I have no idea what I would have been doing now if I didn't have Tracy, or even if I chose adoption or whatever, but I don't care. So Tracy is now 11. She's in 6th grade. She loves softball. She loves cats. She loves Jesus. She struggles sometimes with showing kindness, and she's very sassy, and she will buck the system and buck authority. But she's just testing and seeing who she is. She loves babies. She loves to play. She loves to be silly. She laughs all the time, and she has the most loud, obnoxious laugh you'll ever hear in your life. But I love it. She's had to grow up very fast. She's more mature in her head than she is in real life, because we did it on our own for a long time, which meant you have to do hard things. And like, sometimes she had to go to work with me all day because I didn't have somebody to keep her, which meant you had to sit in an office and color or figure it out. She wants to be a mom. She wants to have babies. She told me she wants to have a lot of babies and be a nurse or be a baby doctor and be a vet. And I told her that she was going to be very busy. And I asked how she was going to raise her kids, and she said, well, you're going to do it. And I was like, no, you're going to do it. But I'll help her, of course. I could go through challenges for hours of what it's like to have a child. They don't end, and it's so hard. I always tell people it's the hardest job I've ever done, and I don't get paid for it. But man, the blessings outweigh those burdens, if you want to call them, so much. The Lord really used Tracy to bring me back to Him. So she was probably, I don't know, like 2 or 3, probably 3, because she was talking pretty well. And it was a Saturday, and we were getting groceries, and we pulled out of the Kroger parking lot, and just out of nowhere, she was like, Mom, why don't we go to church? And I was like, we're going tomorrow. It was what we're doing. God used Tracy to show me that my faith isn't all about me, and like I have a responsibility to pour into the next generation. Like if I don't want Tracy to grow up and go through the same struggles that I did, like I've got to invest into her and show her like what it looks like to follow Jesus, and not just be a legalistic Christian, but what does it mean to like love Jesus. But doing that, like investing into her, invested into me, because I had to learn more in order to teach her. So I had to get out of that legalism mindset and like, oh, it's not just learning the 10 Commandments. It's like loving your neighbor, loving hard when loving is hard. How do you do it? Those are the big blessings. And I really couldn't imagine my life without her. She's legit the coolest kid I know.